Could you imagine walking into a movie theater loaded up with body armor and ammo and opening fire on innocent people? I'm talking about people as young as your little brother or son, or people as old as your grandparents. Well, that's exactly what happened on July 20th, 2012, when James Holmes started opening fire in Aurora, Colorado, at the midnight release of Dark Knight Rises. Today, using facts from New York Daily News and the Denver Law Review, I'm going to tell you why James Holmes should get life in prison instead of the death penalty. Today, I'm going to talk about how death penalty case will affect the families. Then I'm going to talk about how it's much cheaper that he serves life in prison instead of the death penalty. Let's begin with how sentencing could affect the family and friends of the victims. On March 28th, 2013, the prosecutors announced that they would seek the death penalty for James Holmes. This decision was met with mixed reviews, and according to Daily News, Pierce O'Farrell, who is a survivor, made a statement to them saying all of his victims would be dragged along potentially for years. And that's a pretty correct statement. I was going through the Denver Law Review, and I seen that life sentence without parole in Colorado, court trials usually take 526 days. As of death penalty, it would be 4 calendar years is the average trial in Colorado for capital punishment, and that's a long time to be waiting for closure for the victims and their family and friends. And they would have to relive every moment of that tragedy every time somebody has to testify, or every time the prosecution or defense cross examines witnesses. Even if he is convicted of the death penalty, it could be anywhere from 10 to 15 years before he's even executed. Also, any person sentenced to the death penalty has several times to appeal. For whatever reason they can come up with, they can appeal the death penalty, and that's also going to prolong the court trial. They have to send it back up to the Supreme Court, and they have to take a look at it and see if it's valid appeal or not. And all they're going to do is prolong the execution. But if he gets life without parole, the inmate only has one automatic appeal. After that, it's done. He can't make up any excuses of why he shouldn't get life without prison. That's the case, and the family could move on. The victims, all of them can move on, because this guy's gonna spend the rest of his life in prison. So a life sentence without parole would offer the families closure a lot faster. Also, it costs the city and the taxpayers a lot more if he received the death penalty. According to the University of Denver Law Review, in Colorado it takes 6 times more days in court for capital punishment versus life without parole trials. I stated the numbers: 526 days for life without parole and 4 calendar years for capital punishment. The longer the trial, the higher the cost. And in 1994, a Colorado death penalty verdict cost the city $18 million. $18 million is the fine, and it's still pending in front of the Supreme Court. So in 1994, somebody was convicted and sentenced to the death penalty. 2013, they're still alive. The Supreme Court is still taking a look at it, seeing whether this guy should be executed or not. Imagine how that family feels. This guy, they don't know what's going to happen, whether he's going to get the death penalty, or he's going to serve life in prison, or whatever else may happen. The family still doesn't have any closure. Also, in Colorado, it takes 15%. It takes 15% more per year to house somebody in death row than it does to house somebody that's getting life imprisonment, because they can be placed in general population. That's not the case when inmates on death row. They have to be placed in a different solitary location. So basically, I don't see it necessary to prolong the closure for these families. I don't see why they should take away time from everybody that's going to be involved in the court proceedings, and to spend money on this matter, because the city is paying for this, which means ultimately the taxpayers are paying for all this. So just to wrap it up, today I talked about why I feel James Holmes should get the life imprisonment without parole rather than receiving capital punishment. Using facts from the New York Daily News and the Denver Law Review, I talked about how it could affect the families as well as the victims, of course, and also talked about the cost comparison between the death penalty and life without parole. I find it far more sufficient to sentence him to life without prison instead of the death penalty. As I stated, it's cheaper, and I think these families deserve to have closure a lot faster over this tragedy. Thank you for listening to my speech.